Tales from the Dream. The pale stars near the fifth gate. The pale stars wore a spiral in the void, protected in the field of reality from the ever-hungry, blind god. He sought to enter the place many a time, but always he was repelled by it. The blind he tortures found no foothold in this place. There, within the great field of white, were the pale stars. There were 21 of them in number, large and white stars that radiated the cool, ghostly flame, floating amongst the infinite spiral or fields of white sand. So they floated mid-air, paths breaking and the hills rolling into each other before crashing to non-existence. Tall, dead trees emerged from the ground, long since gone, and the bones of countless warriors and beasts filled the spiral. The suns absorbed all souls who laid there, the dead. But most of all was its home, the fifth gate. Large and imposing, two stone pillars of white onyx. A large diamond in their center. It was one of the few gateways into the rivers of essence remaining from the great war of the overgods. When their world broke, so did the gateways. But now it is restored. Its guardian, Lessphigit, stands tall. Lessphigit, tall and lanky, sat on top of one of the pillars, feet dangling, his blue skin dried and crackled, showing the stony skeleton beneath. His board-like mask cracked, revealing the skull that lay hidden behind it. The feathered weeds, held together by silver plastic, had fallen to disrepair, and the spear he held still tight in his hands, cracked and rusted from eons of neglect. Long had it been since one had come here to test his skill. Long had it been since one had bested him. And long will it be until one does again. He wore a cloak, dark blue. Around his waist were a dozen knives, held loosely by cloth. Sandaled feet held toed claws. He looked up across the horizon to see a lone figure approach. Lessphigit descended, his wings flowing behind him, feathers falling as he flew, crashing into the sands, sending them up. He looked upon the one who would dare walk through his gateway, and was met by a power greater than his own. Covered in red armor that was smeared in blood. Intricate black lines ran along it. The painting of a boar's face sat on his chest plate. On his shoulders, the carved heads of boars from the metal. Dozens of nails had been shoved into the armor, spikes that held it to his body. Blood dripped occasionally. The armor was heavy and thick and clad in his entire body. Not a single point of vulnerability was shown. A long red cloth tied around his waist that dragged behind him. His metallic boots thudded into the sand. He removed his hood and showed his helm. Encasing his face, barbed red metallic thorns ran around his neck, holding his helmet tight. Dozens of small holes gave him a view to see into the world. Red light could be seen emanating from them. Around his head, a halo of broken swords. He lifted one hand. As he did, sound of nails slashing and cracking against his bones rose. He clenched his gauntleted fist. Move aside, lest I slay thee, guardian. My quarrel is not with you, but what lies across that gateway. Lessphigit turned. None have passed me for nearly 12 eons. Lessphigit, then I shall. Move aside, broken one, or I shall lay you low in these sands, and your body will join with all those you have slain before. My place was given to me by my creators, the overgods. They deem that none shall enter this gate, and as such it shall be. If you are foolish, you would have death and spare wreath upon you. Then tell me your name, Slayer, so I may mark it in my long list of fools. I am Avros, the world breaker, holder of 77 crowns. I will slaughter you. Move aside now. Die. The Lessphigit lunged forward, his spear extended. He watched as his feathers grew sharply to fine points, his body hardening into a sharp blue metallic stone. Spikes along it. His helm growing, combined with his face, turning into a blue feathered beast of rock and flesh. He slashed his spear with enough force that could have felled a mountain. Unveils lifted but an arm. The spear collided, crashing with its force, sending Veros shifting to the side slightly. He dug his feet into the sand and watched as a huge storm was thrown back. A dust storm that could have rivaled 1,000 others. The air was choked with white sand, as the suns themselves were eclipsed. And when it settled, after but a few seconds, Lessphigit stood there, in shock. Veros remained. Spear cracked along its hilt. Lessphigit turned, grabbing his spear, lunging forward again, fight in hand, and he brought it down low. Blue energy crackled, black necrotic blade enlightening, and around the dead skeletons rose, forming pillars of bones that jutted down in unison with his spear thrust. Veros lifted both hands, clenching them, and Lessphigit watched in a single blow as Veros crushed them all. He moved like light, smashing through them each in turn. Before Lessphigit could even react, he who had seen lightning fall as though it would not slay him. But this speed was beyond him. Lessphigit turned quickly, lifting his wings and opening them. Shooting from them were dozens of blue horns, their beaks sharpened. Born of living death, they would end the vet. And then Veros simply lunged forward, hand extended in open palm. He slammed his hand through Lessphigit's chest. Lessphigit groaned as he fell to his knees. Veros looked at him. I warned you. Before Lessphigit could say another word, the Guardian, 12 eons divide, was slain. Veros lifted his hand, and with a single chop decapitated Lessphigit. Lessphigit fell then. His blue blood spurted into the sands. Quickly, the pale stars absorbed his life, reducing to nothing more but a pile of white bleached bones. Veros moved forward, reaching into his side, pulling from his belt. He held a shard of red crystal. Inside of it grew thousands of black worms. Crunching it, he watched the gate ignited with life. And through the other side, he saw a myriad of weaving tapestries of countless colors in unison, the flowing river of his celestial existence, the realm of the gods. He stepped through. The gate snapped and shut behind him. Veros, holder of 77 crowns, the warlord, the unbreakable, entered to the river of essence. The end.